Now for the balance of the hour, turning to guys who we could have on for 10 hours, and they have their own radio show on Rule of Law Radio. I'll give you that website before they leave us. They're James Lane and, of course, Chris Emery, and they're both filmmakers, researchers, some of the best research out there. And so I wanted both of them to just spend 4 or 5 minutes apiece explaining why Oklahoma City is important, giving the basic facts. And then you had some nice government documents about Jolly and West, the admitted mind control head MK Ultra doctor, along with Ewing Cameron, being McVeigh's doctor throughout this whole thing. I mean, you can't, a science fiction writer couldn't come up with stuff this bizarre and in our face. So we'll talk about that today and who you think McVeigh really was. So Chris Emery, why don't you take it first?
Well, thanks for having us on, Alex. The reason Oklahoma City is still relevant today is that it is a script that the federal government has followed for the last, I'd say, 35 years. And it's easy to see when an action comes up like 9/11 or these militia raids and so forth, you know pretty much you set up a clipboard and you know exactly what's going to happen. And even before I get into filmmaking and the truth movement, so to speak, or research on this, I was listening to your shows, and I said, you know what, Alex is right. You hit all of the points. And it's easy to see how they do this. And they have no compunction. They're not embarrassed. They're actually very proud of the fact that they repeat these. And it's insidious. It doesn't get any worse than that. People need to wake up. And they need to know, not only Oklahoma City, but Waco. It's a consistent trail of events. And it gets worse. The body count is worse as it goes along. What we're trying to do with this film is bring out a lot of the information that people haven't been exposed to. James is going to elaborate on footage that has never been seen before that has come our way. We're going to highlight that.
You're interviewing Terrence Yeage's family about how they murdered him. I mean, you're getting all the interviews.
Yes, sir. So anyway, we want to bring a completely fresh perspective on this, information that has never been revealed before. And we are very grateful for having the opportunity to be on here to reveal this information.
Oh, I'm glad to have you here. This was just an afterthought that you're here to interview me for the film. I'm honored to be part of that.
Yes.
But I mean, get into just let's say you had 3 minutes on national TV. What would you say to the public about Oklahoma City to get them to realize what really happened?
12 people were involved that we know of, it as many as 18. The scripted 2 perps and nobody else involved is complete bunk. That is a slap in the face to the victims' family members and survivors. People need to realize that we are going to expose information. We choose to remember the deaths of these people and the truth versus a lie. The second thing is that there were so many people, so much resources. There was more money spent covering up this case than actually investigating in the proper manner. The federal government actually went backwards. They did a complete U-turn on all of the ethics, all of the integrity, all of the resources, the professional, everything they had. They threw it out the window just to make sure that this was covered up, because we know that there were actually assets, government assets, both in the United States and elsewhere overseas that were involved in making sure that this thing came down. They were supposed to stop it at the last minute, and it backfired right at their feet.
Well, and that's what they always tell the mid-level people is, oh, we're going to stop this. Just like in the first World Trade Center attack right before Waco. I mean, they hired an Egyptian security agent, Ahmad Salam, had him cook a real bomb, and he's going, look, you're going to let the bombing go forward? He knew they were setting him up.
Exactly.
So he recorded them, and that came out in the New York Times and CBS, and they said, look, let it go ahead and happen. We're going to do this. And so that's how they always do it. But, I mean, you have Jane Graham, everybody else in the building, seeing McVeigh and the other guys in there planning the bombs, and she thought it was gray sticks of butter.
That's right. James, you wanted to go ahead and add a few things on that?
Yeah, I think the one thing that stood out to me the most as I'm doing my research was the AMFO bomb, the story that it was AMFO that was used. The ammonium nitrate and fuel oil mixture would create a cloud of nitric gas. Well, we know because of the Terrence Yeage story that he was there within minutes of the bombing, pulling Tom Hall out. Nobody had any problems with respiration. We know VZ Lawton, he was there, he's a survivor.
Nobody smelled it. It was, I mean, and of course, General Parton, the building blown out, not in.
Right, and so, I mean, if it was AMFO, there would have been a huge nitric gas cloud over the building. And initially, right the minutes after the bombing, the wind was blowing right into the building where VZ Lawton was. Nobody had any problems with that. So, I mean, that disproves that AMFO was used. We have evidence, the 40-year anniversary of a bombing in Madison, Wisconsin is coming up this August, and 23 people were sent to the hospital after the first responders were sent to the hospital because they were overcome with the fumes. You know, so we know that that's the pattern of it, and they expect us to believe this. It gets so cartoonish. It's almost like Wile E. Coyote tiptoeing in with the Acme bomb. You know, and this is what they expect the American people to believe.
Then we have the footage of them removing the other bombs that didn't go off. I mean, in parts of the building blown across the street, the opposite direction of the truck bomb. I mean, it just goes on, and then killing the cop that was exposing it, torturing him to death, and just, I mean, it goes on and on.
Well, the story of Terrence Sheikey, you mentioned the video that we did on that. We just thought it was important for that story to be told. I mean, that man was a real hero. He worked himself beyond exhaustion to save people that day. And he said that was the official story was not how it happened. And, you know, I mean, he was concerned for his safety.
Right before they tortured him to death, he thought he'd been poisoned, right?
Yeah, he was sick. They were talking about getting him to the hospital. And I think to protect his family, he kind of isolated himself from them. And he was on the way to a meeting that morning, and he never made it. You know, and
they found him tortured to death.
Yeah, the rope burns, possible rope burns on the neck, the angle of the shot. He bled out in the car, supposedly walked a quarter of a mile after bleeding out, and then shot himself at a downward angle. You know, it ruled suicide immediately, and it's absurd.
The information that we're getting, Alex, you let us know how you're doing on a break, is that there are good members of law enforcement, local, county, state, and federal level that have come forward, either admitted their identity or wanted to be anonymous. And there's a consistent pattern of, okay, this is the information that makes sense. What the federal government and their, like you said, the cartoonish story, simply can't hold its own. There is no factual foundation on it. So we go back and we say, okay, we're going to present the information that we know is factual. Reams of documentation. Every single thing that we're going to have on the film will have a bibliography, and there's going to be reference on all of that. So there's no question. And we're going to paint a completely different story. We need to get the truth out on this. People will have that as a foundation, just like a lot of your movies, to make a judgment call on what's going to happen in the future. They have to know.
Well, then you've got the FBI coming and brandishing guns at Hoppy Heidelberg, the head grand juror's house, and telling him, you're not going to call these witnesses, you're going to shut up. I mean, you have the motive. I mean, Bill Clinton on Air Force One a year after the attack, they said, why did you get reelected? Your approval rating was way down. It went way back up. He said, Oklahoma City got me reelected. Well, I mean, that's why Hitler firebombed his own Reichstag.
The Whitewater documents were housed in the building for the whole investigation.
He was going to go down like a lead balloon. It was unbelievable. May of that year, congressional hearings were going to take him down on the Whitewater investigation.
Let's fix this all with one shot. Blow that building, make sure there's kids inside. People love images of them, and get rid of them documents at the same time. We'll be right back.